What's up, everybody? Kyle here. Let's talk wax with an updated version of my top 10 from 2022 Bowman Chrome. Now, this release is just about a year old, and there are some qualifications for this list. It does have to be hitters under the age of 24 and within rookie limits. And with most of my content, I do consider production over projection most of the time. Now, you're going to see a Let's Talk Wax ranking system over here. If you want to grab a screenshot of that, it's going to be very helpful throughout most of my content and this video, because I'm going to assign each of these top 10 a Let's Talk Wax rank, along with some honorable mentions and some MLB grads that are in this checklist as well. But without further ado, let's go take a look at who's performing well out of 2022 Bowman Chrome. Kicking us off in the 10 spot is Roderick Arias, New York Yankees, 18.9. He's a shortstop playing in the Complex League. 130 plate appearances. He's hit 267 with a 238 ISO and a 1.07 K to walk ratio over his second year in minor league baseball. Now, one of the big reasons I put Arias on this list is due to his improvement from last year. He was in the DSL last year and put up some really awful numbers, but he's shown a much better performance over a sample size in 2023. You can see his career average is the lowest on this list at 230, but he does have a little bit of thump and a little bit of speed. He increased his fielding percentage also by 50 points from 2022 to 2023, but definitely a guy to keep an eye on. I know he was one of the big hype chases out of this release, and it seems kind of strange that he's only at number 10, but like I said, 2022 was a rough year for him, but he has made a lot of improvement in 2023. He's not a top 100 prospect organizationally with the Yankees. He's number 7. He's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 2.5 for me right now, and his cards have dropped significantly since release. They're about down to about $60, and I can't emphasize this enough when you guys, because 2023 Bowman Chrome is set to release in September. It's an upcoming release, and just make sure you're doing a lot of research before you just spend a ton of money on the most hyped up top international free agents. You can check their stats. You can do a little more research than most people do instead of just following who Bowman tells you to buy. So make sure you do your research before you spend a ton of money on these guys, and always remember, post-release prices will often drop after about a month or two. But at number 9, we've got Jason Chourio, the younger brother of Jackson, but he has a bit of a different offensive profile. Now, he could have a pretty plus hit tool. He's shown the ability to hit for average. He's hit 345 in 2023, and he's got a 314 career batting average. So a prolific hit tool there. He's got a 1.00 K to walk ratio right now, which means he takes as many walks as he does strikeouts. He's got almost a sub 20 K percentage at 20.1. The difference between him and his brother, although, is the power output. Jason does not demonstrate a lot of in-game power. He is only 18.3, so there could be some projection based on how he grows physically. But power is one of the big things that is kind of an accelerant in the hobby with most kids. So we're going to have to keep an eye on Jason Chourio, see what happens with the power. The hit tool's already manifested over a larger sample size. Not a top 100 prospect organizationally. He's number 8, and he's a 2.5 on Let's Talk Wax rank. His cards are right about up to release price, around $40 to $50. And I remember I was trying to grab some Jason Chourio on release, and I was paying about $50 a week or two outside of release. So I've got a pretty big stash of Jason, and I'm hoping that he can tap into some power, maybe in 2024 or 2025. At number 8, we've got kind of a surprise on this list. Maybe not for me, but for you guys. Wilfred Veras, Chicago White Sox. He does have the Tatis bloodline in him. I think they're cousins somewhere along that tree that I've read when I was doing my international research for this release last year. But he's a right fielder. He's played between high A and double A, spent the majority of the season in high A, was promoted to double A a few weeks ago. 500 plate appearance sample size. He's hitting 290 with a 175 ISO and a 24.9 K percentage now. He's got 25 doubles and 11 home runs in just high A alone, and he's already hit 8 more doubles and 50 plate appearances with the double A club. He's got a 368 batting average as well in double A. So his promotion to double A, he's handled very well, but you can see in the blue here, and I have yet to comment on this, his K to walk ratio is 5.18. He rarely walks. I think he's got like a 3.8 walk percentage across the season so far in 2023, which is kind of a red flag, but I've seen some guys who are kind of aggressive natured, have some success at the major league level. I've always talked about Jeremy Pena and how he had a monstrous K to walk ratio in the minors, but he's a guy that you definitely have to consider the weakness here, and he doesn't take walks, and it could impact him at the major league level, after all the scouting reports and all the data kind of comes in. But it hasn't slowed him down in Double-A yet. He's having a really good year in 2023. He's one of the cheapest autos on this list as well at around $10. And he's got fringy speed, 21 stolen bases between high A and Double-A. So could be a speed power guy in the making. If he can turn his 33 doubles into some more home runs in 2024, that will only increase his stock. So a surprise here with Wilfred Veras, a $10 auto at number 8. He's not ranked in the top 100. He's only number 23 in the White Sox system from MLB.com. But for me, he's a 2.5 on the Let's Talk Wax rank. At number 7, Ricardo Cabrera, probably some of the best numbers in this top 10. 18.8. He's a shortstop, third baseman. He's probably like 55-45, I think, shortstop and third base. So the likeliness of him sticking at shortstop is pretty low, especially in that Cincinnati Reds system where they've got some elite level defensive shortstops already in the upper minors. He's in the complex league, only 166 plate appearance sample size in 2023, and we've only got DSL and complex stats to weigh on for Cabrera, and it brings me to a point that I mentioned in a lot of my videos that, DSL stats and complex league stats, I would tread very lightly on those, especially DSL stats. I've seen players perform exceptionally well in the DSL. They come stateside and they never perform to those expectations again. So tread very lightly on DSL and complex numbers. Always check for larger sample sizes in the upper minors if you can, and you always check career data as well. Don't ever go solely off a DSL season, because sometimes it will get you burned, and sometimes it does pan out, but sometimes you can really lose your stuff when you count on those alone. But he's hitting 360 in 2023 with a 221 ISO. So some incredible numbers, sub 20K percentage, sub 2K to walk ratio. He checks all the boxes for me as a guy that I would really like. His cards are pretty cheap at $25. His base auto's a redemption, but it is live, and he has all the other numbered cards going up. 5 home runs, 19 stolen bases. And the reason he's so low, like I said, is because we have a small sample size in the very bottom of the minors for Ricardo Cabrera. And we don't really know what he's capable of in low A, high A, double A moving forward. So definitely a guy to watch, and at $25, he seems like a pretty good buy, one of the second cheapest on this list, I believe. At number 6, we've got Samuel Zavala, San Diego Padres prospect, center fielder, and he produced some pretty good power numbers. He had 14 home runs and 20 plus doubles over the year so far. He spent the whole season in low A. He wasn't called up from the complex league. He broke camp in 2023 at low A. Hit 271 with a 187 ISO, a fringy K rate at 26.5, but he does have a sub 2 K to walk ratio, something I really like. And he's pretty much an extra base hit machine. He's got a 203 career ISO. He hits doubles, hits triples. He can hit some home runs. I think this is a bat that could really break out possibly in 2024 as he starts to really develop some physical maturity, kind of grow into his body. And like I said, most of his same age peers were in the complex league or even DSL in 2023 among those kids that were 18. And Samuel Zavala is one of the few out of this release to have sort of an aggressive assignment in low A at the age of 18. And he fared very, very well. Pretty solid K numbers. Like I said, he just got put on the MLB.com top 100 at number 100. Organizationally, he's number 5 and a Let's Talk Wax rank of 2. Now, his base auto is an SP redemption. I cannot find a lot of comps for his base autos. The last sale of a base auto was $130, and his refractor auto that's numbered to $499 comps at around $125. So the SP base auto and the refractor are just about the same price. And just me personally, if I could buy a refractor for the same price as that's actually live, unlike the redemption, I would probably go for the refractor at $125. But that's totally up to you and your personal preference, because people may forget forget that he is an SP auto in the future years, but I'll try to keep everybody updated on that. Now, before we jump into our top 5, I want to let you guys know about a break I will be running on Wednesday, August 30th at 8 p.m. We're going to be chasing some of the top prospects in 2022 Chrome. I'll have live team auctions starting at about $1. And if you guys are not on the Whatnot app, if you sign up with my invite link in the video description, you'll get a free $15 credit to spend. And if you're already on the app, you can bookmark my stream as indicated here on my profile at Let's Talk Wax. It's a great place to come hang out. We had a lot of fun in our last 2 breaks. We were talking about prospects and just a really enjoyable atmosphere. Even if you don't want to jump in the breaks, come hang out with us. It's a pretty fun way to spend your evening. Now, before we get into our top 5, I'm going to go through some honorable mentions, some guys that I could have put on this list but didn't want to make a 3-hour video. So I'm going to run through them with a Let's Talk Wax rank. We've got Leonardo Balcazar, one of my favorites out of this release, but he is not playing anymore. He had a torn ACL about, I say, 1/3 into the 2023 season and hasn't played since. So he's out for the year, but I think he could be a guy that comes back pretty strong in 2024. Nathan Hickey, a little old, but he's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 2.5. Jorbit Vivas, who's kind of a floor player. I had him originally on my top 10, and I swapped him out for Wilfred Veras just because he seemed a little more appealing. But Jorbit Vivas is an infielder, 2.5 Let's Talk Wax rank, kind of a floor player. I don't know how his bat's going to compare to Michael Busch, who's already up there right now, but he's a guy that could possibly crack the big leagues in 2023, 2024. Christian Vaquero, Alexis Hernandez, some of the younger players from the international class in this release. Denzel Clark's got a huge speed power ceiling. Drew Baker has been promoted to Double-A finally. He was in High A for the last 2 years, having a lot of success. Diego Velasquez is a guy to watch. He hits for a lot of average right now, and he's pretty young, plays shortstop. Jorge Barosa, another guy that has a pretty solid floor. I think Rosman Verdugo was leading Low A at one point in doubles, and I think he was only like 18 years old, so definitely a guy to keep an eye on. Samuel Munoz and William Bergola, who has an elite hit tool as well. Now, there are some notable MLB grads on this checklist as well. Nelson Velasquez and Michael Garcia, both in MLB right now, and Emmanuel Valdez and Simon Mizziotti, who have made their professional debuts and have, I think, over 30 plate appearances in the major leagues, and that disqualifies them from my prospecting content. But those are the guys that could have been on the list and the guys that have been in the MLB off of this checklist. Leading off our top 5 are 2 guys that have asterisks by their names, Brady House and Jackson Merrill. Now, these are both tricky situations here that pop up sometimes in the hobby. Brady House and Jackson Merrill do not have a first Chrome stamp on their cards in this release, even though it is their true first auto. Jackson Merrill and Brady House both had first prospect cards in 2021 Bowman draft, where they did not have autos. So in the next release in 2022 Bowman Chrome, they put some autos in there for these guys. But like I said, since they already had a first prospect card in a previous release, they do not have the first logo on them in this release. Now, I know the same thing happened with Jackson Chourio, but that was a different mistake. I think his autos were meant to be in 2022 Bowman along with his first prospect card, so they all had the first stamp, but they actually moved them to 2022 Chrome, so he will have the first Chrome stamp. It's just kind of a logistics nightmare sometimes with Bowman, but all I can say is that this truly is their first Chrome auto, even though they don't have the first Chrome stamp, which is why I put an asterisk by their names. A lot of people ask how that affects value, and I don't really think it does, because like I said, the majority of people know that it is their first auto, whether they have the stamp or not. But anyway, let's get back into the numbers. Brady House is playing exclusively third base this year, so the shortstop on his card hasn't panned through into the upper minors. He's climbed 3 levels in 2023 all the way to Double-A, and he's currently hitting 300 in Double-A. So like Jackson Merrill, I think Brady House is kind of a floor player, and the power is going to dictate, how high his ceiling is going to be. He's got a career 300 batting average, and he's hitting 308 across the 3 levels this year so far. So the hit tool is there, but again, just like Jackson Merrill, I think the power development over the next 2 years is going to kind of dictate their ceiling. They're both going to be pretty solid floor players that could be solid major league guys in the future, but the power is going to be the big accelerant. Like I said, it always is, and we'll have to just wait and see what happens there. But Brady House is number 43 in the top 100, number 3 organizationally, behind Dylan Cruz and James Wood, 2 super prospects in the Washington Nationals organization. I feel like if he was in a different organization, he could be a number 1 overall prospect, especially if he was in Oakland. Let's talk Wax rank of 2, and he is a $45 auto right now. Now we'll also tap into Jackson Merrill, San Diego Padres, 20.3, same age as Brady House, but he is playing shortstop between high A and double A this year. He's hit .286 with immaculate K numbers, the lowest K percentage on this list at 11.7, sub 2 K to walk ratio, 13 tanks and 15 stolen bases. So just a lot of floor appeal here with Jackson Merrill so far. You can see he hasn't hit for a ton of power, a 160-ish ISO career-wise and in 2023, but the hit tool, much like Brady House, is there. The K rate is very low, the lowest career K rate on this list too, but he does have more defensive upside than House. Like I said, he's sticking at shortstop right now, and just like House again, the power is going to dictate his ceiling and his future in the hobby. He's number 9 in the top 100, number 2 in the Padres organization. He's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 1.5 for me due to the offensive and defensive upside, and he's about a $50 auto. At number 3, we've got Juan Fernandez, Colorado Rockies, 20.6, right fielder, played in low A, low A, high A, and double A. Much like Brady House, he's played through 3 levels in 2023. He's struggling in double A a little bit right now with his contact rates, but his power is still manifesting there. It hasn't gone anywhere. That's the big thing here with Fernandez. There's not a ton of defensive upside. There may not be an elite contact tool, but his power is kind of what drives the car here. He's going to hit for some average, and I think he could be a guy that hits around 280 to 300 in the upper minors because he's doing it right now. Career-wise, he's 294, but like I said, he's struggling a bit in double A. The numbers are padded. His 2023 season batting average is padded a bit by low A and high A, but like I said, I think in 2024, he's a guy that could hit for some average in double A. He's got a 246 ISO right now, 23 home runs, the most on this list. He is a little aggressive like some guys on this list, not quite as aggressive as Veras, but he does have an elevated K to walk ratio. You can see him and Ceddanne Rafaela are both in the blue there. They're close to Ceddanne's a little higher with a near 4, and Yankeel's got a 3.4, but power is the big thing here for Fernandez, and I think, like I said, for the amount of power he has, I think he's got a pretty exceptional hit tool, and it's something that you don't see a whole lot. You know, Christian Encarnacion Strand is a guy like that. Junior Caminero is a guy like that. Guys that have just extreme power and a hit tool to kind of back it up. So that's what I like about Yanquiel Fernandez. I think he'll get things going in Double A maybe in 2024. He's a number 53 in the top 100, number 2 in the Rockies organization. He's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 1.5 for me right now. Now, depending on what he does in 2024 in Double A over a larger sample size, that rank could go up or down. So we'll just have to wait and see. With all these prospects, nobody can predict the future. Anybody that tries to is lying, and they don't know how the hobby works. Doing this for years and years and years, there's a ton of luck involved. And like I said, I try to give you guys the information, but you always make the picks. That's not up to me because I'm not. I cannot a fortune teller. So if you like Yanquiel, he's kind of a low buy right now at $45. I think his cards were floating right around 75 to 100 when he was in high A, just destroying. And now since he struggled a little bit, I think his cards have dropped. But he is number 3. And that's going to take us, as I mentioned before, to Ceddanne Rafaela, Boston Red Sox, 22.9 center fielder, Double A and Triple A this year. He's hitting .301 with a 225 ISO. So another guy with some big juice that hits for average, and you can add an extreme speed tool to that as well. Ceddanne is really tooled up, and the only thing, as I mentioned when I was talking about Fernandez, is the elevated K to walk ratio, and that's the only flag that I see here, and it's not terrible. Like, it's not Wilfred Veras K to walk ratio-ish, where it's like a 3% K or walk rate, but it is a little high. 19 home runs, 34 stolen bases in the 2 toughest levels in minor league baseball. career 279 batting average, almost a career 200 ISO with a sub 20K percentage. So Ceddanne Rafaela is a really exciting prospect. I'm not saying he is the next Elly De La Cruz, but he has some of the qualities as far as athleticism and just excitement that I think he could bring to the game is pretty impressive. So if he wasn't behind one of the number 2 prospect in all of baseball out of this release, he could probably be a number 1 guy in a different release. So he's number 77 on the top 100, which I think is a little low. Number 3 in the organization, a 1.5 on the Let's Talk Wax rank, and then, like I said, it's $75 auto right now. Now, number 1, there's really not a whole lot of surprises here. We've got Jackson Chourio. The Jackson Chourio, not the Jason Chourio. Don't get those complicated. They are in the same release. And as I mentioned before, he does have his first Chrome card in 2022 Bowman, but they put his first Chrome Auto in 2022 Chrome. Like I said, sometimes Bowman is a complete logistics nightmare, but that's why I'm here to try to help you guys out with that. There's not really a whole lot of talking that I need to do about Jackson Chourio. He's one of the most special prospects in all of baseball. Played the entire season this year in Double-A. Started actually at 18 years old. In Double-A, the youngest player there was actually playing in Double-A last year at the age of 18, and he's just done a fantastic job. There's not a lot of kids who start a full season at 18 in Double-A and hold a sub 20K percentage and hit 17 home runs. It's just really incredible stuff. Speed, power, there's really nothing that he can't do. He could be one of the next superstar center fielders that we see in the game. But like I said, we never really know. Some players take a year or 2 to really develop and find themselves at the major league level. But I think Chourio's a guy that we could see at the big league level possibly in 2024. And he'll only be about 20 years old. So he's going to be a pretty exciting guy. I feel like kids will kind of gravitate to him because of his youth. And he's just going to be a really exciting guy for the hobby, and kind of like Elly De La Cruz, just exciting for baseball in general. It's really fun to see when these really young kids get called up, and I think that just accelerates their value just by getting that attention. So Jackson Chourio, as we all know, number 2 overall prospect in all of baseball, number 1 in his organization. He's the only elite ranked player as far as Let's Talk Wax rank goes on this list, and it's for good reason. And his autos are around $400 right now. And depending on what mainstream sites you follow, Jackson Chourio could be above or below Jackson Holiday, but I think Holiday and Chourio are the unanimous number 1 and 2 among most of the lists that I look at. But that's going to wrap up our top 10. And before we go, don't forget to check out my break. I'll be running on Whatnot for these cards. You can find us on Wednesday, August 30th at 8 p.m. Whether it's, like I said, if you want to come hang out, I'm going to have all the team auctions starting at $1, and I'll be running 2 breaks. So it should be a lot of fun. Head over there. You can bookmark it on my profile on the Whatnot app. Now, another huge shout out to all of my Patreon level 3 sponsors and everyone who supports me over there. If you guys enjoy my videos, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what guys you're chasing out of 2022 Bowman Chrome. Y'all have a great day.